T-Bone and Heather in the morning on Star 98.3 and 97.7 The Bay.
Hello, my friends.
Good morning, neighbors.
Welcome to the first day of summer, and check this out.
Here's Johnny.
Woo!
Feels good to be back.
Yes,
Well, good to have you back, sir.
So nice to
I
have
hate
you
these
back.
little stretches where I miss out. This is my centering zone.
Good.
So, look at the side of his head.
Yeah.
What happened?
You got
got
sideswiped in his car.
Yeah, that too.
Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm good to go.
Are you able to tell us about movies, or are you?
Yeah, words get mixed up a little bit.
Yeah.
Sounds are colors, but other than that, I think
Right.
I'm good to go.
Okay,
This
fantastic.
isn't the new car, is it? That the
Yeah,
wife
of course
got?
It is.
Oh,
Of course I was
no.
driving my wife's car that day.
Oh,
Yeah.
course it is.
no.
Because the universe hates me, and that's how things happen.
Oh, God.
But my wife is an angel, and she was only worried about me being okay. And
Oh, look at that. Look at that.
It'll be
She's
all
the
fixed.
sweetest. She
Yeah.
really is. You're so lucky.
Yeah, I am. But yeah, we have a bunch of movies to talk about this week, actually.
Well, it's
I mean,
the first day of summer, so, I mean, it's go time.
Yeah.
Let me just ask you this as kind of an aside to that. Is the big blockbuster summer thing, is that still a thing?
Not every year, I don't feel like.
Oh,
It
man,
really-
I just used to love it so much.
I know, and there's a couple of key things that have left that, because you'll see, like one of the movies we're talking about today is Pixar's Elio, which,
Oh, yeah, Elio, right.
do you know anything about it?
I know nothing about it.
Cartoon.
It's a Pixar movie that nobody knows anything about. And I think, with the move to streaming, with, ads coming in different forms, and because it used to be, we still get the same ads, we still get the same media, but we get it separately and differently and individually now. And we used to all get the same thing from the same feed at the same time.
Right.
And the summer movie season was based less around the movies and more around the marketing. And marketing is so different now that you don't get magazines with the ads in them. You don't get, even like the Burger King. Burger King, I think, is doing like a Superman thing, but it used to be every major fast food place.
You would get the glass.
There's going to be a tie-in, right?
Get the collectible glasses.
When these things were coming up, you were inundated for weeks and weeks and weeks. It was a huge buildup, and everybody was on the same page. And that still happens for some, like Fantastic Four and Superman both feel like big summer movies.
I
not
haven't
every
seen
year
anything
has.
about either one of those.
Oh, I have.
Oh, yeah.
Have you? I
yeah.
haven't.
Superman I've seen seems more like the years of old than anything I've seen in a while. Because,
Okay.
like I said, they do have a Burger King tie-in. They're in a lot of different places. But,
Good.
other than that, there's years that go by where we don't have a movie like that. And it's
Yeah.
just, you have big movies. You'll have a B-level Marvel movie. You'll have movies some movie everybody goes to see, but it's not the same. The electricity is not there.
Okay, well, tell us about Elio. Kid goes to space, right? He's the ambassador for Earth or something like that?
Yeah, and it's
I know more about that than I do Superman.
I
and
have never.
maybe-
How do you know this?
yeah.
I don't know. Something I read.
Maybe this is the reasoning is because it is not top level Pixar, but it is a very solid, good kids movie that has a undercurrent of like self-confidence and teaching kids to believe in themselves.
Okay.
And maybe I'm getting soft in my old age, but I can always appreciate a little bit more when a movie puts the extra time in to make sure that the kids learn the proper lesson or are imparting a good message to them. And I think Elio does it a lot, but it's also a heck of a lot of fun.
Okay.
There's a lot of space stuff. If your kid's into space, there's aliens and space flight and all kinds of things like that. So
Oh, nice.
Visually,
It's a
I
fun-
mean, Pixar's got to
Oh,
look
it's
good.
gorgeous. Yeah, it's always going to be gorgeous.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, just like Elio for the kids, is 28 years later.
Oh, God.
This thing.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay.
Well, there's
before
28
I send
days
anybody
later.
the wrong way, that's a joke.
Yeah,
this is a zombie movie.
It was
Yeah.
28 days later, 28 weeks later, and now 28 years later.
Yes.
Where
yeah.
are we 28 years later?
Still battling zombies?
And we're about 20 years later from the original movie, so the timeline almost lines up.
Oh, wow.
We're in a place where it's not uplifting. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
There's no cure right around the corner.
Okay. All right.
People aren't taking their vaccines. But it's basically you're in an apocalypse 28 years later, and
Sure.
those that are still around have found a way to survive.
Right.
With the zombies, they have their little isolated areas. They have their little islands, but they're finding that more things are mutating because it's never just the zombies
Sure.
forever. I mean,
Right.
number one, these zombie movies are always more about the people as monsters anyway. But the funny thing about this is 28 whatever later, all of the movies so far have been less of the actiony, gory horror type horror movies and more of the thinking man's zombie movie, I guess you could say.
Okay, gotcha.
And this one even more so. I was surprised at how much maybe not downtime, but how much quiet time there was, where there was no
zombie coming
action
through the
yet.
door.
And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of violence and there's a lot of gore, but it's more contemplative than you might be expecting.
Do zombies swim?
No.
Okay, zombies don't swim.
They
It's
may
just a
walk.
question.
It's a given,
They don't
Heather.
have to breathe. They don't have to breathe, so they may walk.
Right,
They may walk
okay.
across the bottom, yeah.
And then for anybody that's really, really missing Pitch Perfect, and this even the advertising for this movie kind of made it seem like two of the stars of Pitch Perfect is Bridehard,
Bridehard.
Rebel Wilson. After her, a dramatic, good for her weight loss. But she plays a secret agent.
Sure.
As she would be,
Of course.
obviously,
Right.
To Anna Camp's, to her best friend, who's Anna Camp, who played, I forget her name in Pitch Perfect, but she was like not Anna Kendrick, but the lead bossy girl of the alcohol
okay,
room.
gotcha,
Yeah, okay.
gotcha.
That's Anna Camp. So she's getting married, and Rebel Wilson plays her maid of honor, who was demoted to bridesmaid because she skipped out on wedding activities for an international spy mission. Of course, this is
okay.
all big secret. Big secret all comes out to light during the wedding weekend. It is funny. It's Rebel Wilson. I'm always pleased, and I don't know how this is going to sound, so forgive me if this doesn't sound good, but it always makes me happy when I see a heavier comedic presence lose a lot of weight and then still be funny. Because you hate to see it like a Samson thing. Like I've seen people
Right.
that they get thin and they're not funny anymore for whatever reason.
Right.
I've never heard of this movie, Bridehard, but when you were talking about it, I looked it up, and I will give you. They did something that I really like. The movie. It's not the poster, but the image that they have for the movie looks like it's from 1975. Mm-hmm. It's got the star in the middle and then just a halo of action around her.
Okay,
You know
cool.
what I mean?
Yeah.
You'll know what I mean when you'll see it. That
All
looks
right.
like every movie that was coming out in 1975.
Yeah.
Smokey and the Bandit, whatever. That's the type of movie poster
I
it
will
is.
always give a movie points for doing something like that because that is the lost art. Every movie since 2006 has just been, let's Photoshop heads.
Yeah.
Or maybe they can lean against each other in the middle.
Right,
back to back.
Depending if it's a rom-com or not.
Right.
Or, if it's a buddy comedy, you can do that too. But, such a big part of my childhood in the 80s was walking through the video store with those gorgeous,
movie posters.
No matter how crappy the movie was,
Yeah.
it could have this beautifully hand-drawn cover
Right.
or movie poster. And we are nowhere near that right now.
That
And it
was the
stinks.
epitome of fine art and decoration.
Yeah.
When I
On bedroom walls.
Right. When I was thinking to myself, when I get out of this place and get my apartment, when I have a ton of movie posters everywhere.
Sure.
That was it. It was going to be awesome.
The Ghoulies, one on the front door with the little guy coming out of the toilet. Right.
So what about streaming? Anything streaming for a hot Southern Maryland weekend?
Yeah, not so much. There's a K-pop Demon Hunters thing coming on Netflix, which I only mention that because I know it's anime or God,
A lot of people
God help
love-
me if it's not anime and it's like hentai or.
Oh,
one of
yeah.
those
You're going to
Yeah,
get
yeah,
lit up
yeah.
on the internet.
But so I apologize. I'm not well
Manga.
versed, but that's out on Netflix. I know there's a huge audience for that out there, and then there's also a Marley Matlin documentary. So that tells you the depth of
Okay.
things that are out there.
All right.
Okay, here's a question, guys. I'm going to throw this out there. What do you remember as the biggest summer blockbuster you as a kid going to see?
that I was
Independence Day.
most excited about going to see.
Independence Day. T and I went to see that together.
Yeah.
On
I
opening
remember
weekend.
that being like because it came out in like '96, I think. So I was 14, and I remember that being like starting in February. The Super Bowl was like Independence Day. It was like ID4. Everything was about that. The
Independence
marketing.
Day.
It was a build. I don't know if it was my age or if it was a movie or the marketing, but Independence Day is what defines summer blockbusters in my mind.
Mine was, and this is it right here. So, I never got to go to the movies. That was like,
Right.
you'd see like one movie every 3-4 years, something like that.
Well, you grew up in Alaska, right?
Yeah.
So you guys had to recreate the movies yourselves.
That's
Right.
and by the time a movie got to us,
You were great in Tootsie, by the way.
it was like 3 years old. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
the whole world had seen it, and they're like, "Well, why don't we send it up there, see if these idiots will watch it?"
Right.
So when Star Wars came out, I didn't even mention it. I knew I wasn't going. There's no point in getting your hopes up. It's not happening.
Right.
Never even mentioned it. I would make a concerted effort not to hear about it or see the commercials because I'm not going to see it. And then one day, my brother George walks in and he goes, "Hey, Want to go see Star Wars tonight?
Oh my gosh.
It was like 6 Christmases in
Oh
one.
my god!
Oh my gosh.
And that's an eternal brother bond right there. That's one of those
My
moments
brother
that
George
make you bonded forever.
Took me to see Star Wars.
Yeah.
And it was. I don't even have words.
Star Wars.
It was so cool.
I went
I
to
am so mad that I missed out on that because like
It was huge.
I know. Like Jurassic Park for me was one of those for me where it's like there was a frenetic shift in the quality of movies and what you were seeing on screen because that was the first major CGI. You'd never seen anything like it before, and it was like wow. But really, the absolute tonal shift was Star Wars because you had everything before that was like. You know, the Ray Harryhausen stuff,
yeah.
Really crappy special effects, and then you have this thing that is totally believable.
I remember sitting there in the movie theater, and I really didn't know what it was about.
Right.
I mean, I knew it was in space. I didn't know. Got the popcorn, got the drink, and then that ship comes over.
Yeah.
Dong, ga-da-dong, and I'm just like, what the what?
Yeah.
I'm in. 1,000%.
We went to see that in the drive-in theater with my parents, and that was huge. But probably the biggest summer blockbuster for me was E.T. E.T. was absolutely huge. And I remember going to the theater with my cousin. I remember sitting and watching it and being mesmerized by E.T. E.T. was huge. For me, anyway.
Magical. That's why
it's such a great
we're
time.
so nostalgic all the time because it's magical. You can't say anything else.
I think that was the entire reason. Yesterday afternoon, we sat down
and watched Jaws.
Watched Jaws.
Yeah.
Because it's like the 50th anniversary of Jaws, and I think Peacock has it. And so, I was going through looking for something to watch in the afternoon. I was like, hell yeah, I'm going to watch Jaws. And it was fantastic. And I mean, come on. You can't beat...
Well, John Williams. And John Williams also did the music for Star Wars.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, that...
And E.T., I think. He did E.T., too.
Yeah, he did E.T., Indiana Jones,
Yeah.
Harry Potter. There are geniuses, and then there's John Williams. If you look at his discography or whatever you want to call it, every major catchy theme or score of the last 40 years has been that man.
John Williams,
it's insane.
yeah.
And his son, lead singer Toto.
What?
Yep.
Really?
John stepping up with the deep trivia.
I didn't know that. Good job, John.
Yep.
Well, all right then. Listen, hey, thank you for coming in. We appreciate it. Go out and see a movie this weekend. You're going to enjoy it, and it's a great weekend to do it. First weekend of summer, so get out there and enjoy a movie.